Okay. What's up, all? It's me, Mango, and I'm finally making a YouTube video that I promised to make with overly enthusiastic voices and all that. It's a deck profile of sorts of the newly released TGs, coming with the release of Antinomy and the new box, Antony's Theory. I'm showcasing the deck we got Cogwood earlier this season. We got on the 5th of the month, which is kind of early, but also gave people time to familiarize themselves with the matchups and what TGs do. TBH, I played it on day one and barely made it out of Platinum, but that was because I literally had no idea what I was doing and knew none of the good combos and missed playing up the wazoo in general. By day 2, we made it to Legend 5 easily. Granted, the matchups were still new for a lot of people, so many people weren't as familiar with how to counterplay, and we took advantage of that. So this is pretty much card for card what people have had success in tourneys during the initial days of release, and pretty much any deck I play is just a copy and pasted version because I have zero originality, etc, etc. Starting off with the first card is TG Screw Serpent. This is a core card of the strategy and definitely a 3 of IMO. It's a UR from the new main box, so get your wallets ready. When Serpent is normal or special summoned, it lets you special summon a different level 4 or lower TG monster from your grave. This is a big part of your turn 1 combo chain, where you usually use this to special summon TG Booster Raptor from your graveyard, which I'll skip over to in a moment. Your Serpent also lets you banish itself from the graveyard to increase or reduce the level of 1 TG monster control by 1 until the end phase. It's a nice effect to have because it gives some flexible synchro climbs outside of our standard combo, especially as the duel goes on. Both of the Screws effects are hard ones per turn. Skipping ahead, we have Booster Raptor. Raptor allows you basically to once per turn special summon itself from the hand when you control another TG monster. Also, during the end phase of the turn, it was destroyed with a battle card effect. It allows you to search a TG monster other than itself, that search being a copy of Screw Serpent, so you can combo off next turn. It's a decent search effect, and at the very least, doesn't get countered by something like Sam D. Worth noting, the search isn't a hard once per turn, so if multiple copies of Raptor get destroyed, you can search multiple copies of Screw Serpents. This card is core, and I personally play it at 3. Some people have experimented at playing this at 2 with some success, but since this is, spoiler alert, a milling strategy, I've run into times where I've ran out of steam too soon, milling all my Raptors too early. Conversely though, playing 2 copies leaves room for text, and as you'll see, we have other cards that help serve as additional copies of Raptor in the deck. Raptor with Serpent in hand is essentially your bread and butter turn 1 combo, but there are other ways to facilitate that same combo. Okay, now cycling back, we have ourselves Miscellaneousaurus, which is a card you definitely want to read. This has 2 effects. First effect lets you discard it from your hand during your main phase. That's a quick effect to let all dinosaur monsters on the field be unaffected by your opponent's activated effects for the rest of the main phase. This second effect lets you banish any number of dinos from your graveyard, including itself, to summon a dino from your deck whose level equals the number of dinos you banished. The monster summon gets destroyed during the end phase of the turn. Here's the synergy. It just so happens Raptor is a dinosaur, and since it's level 1, you can summon it off of Misk banishing itself. So basically, if you have Misk in hand, you discard it, then you activate its effect from the grave to immediately special summon a Raptor while maintaining your normal summon. And for people that don't read and cover cut Raptor immediately during the main phase, you're protected. Though honestly, the target to interrupt is usually Serpent, the tuner, not the Raptor. But some people don't know how to play against this strategy, so that's a nice benefit. This card is a 2 to 3 of. Personally, for me, I prefer playing 3 since it's both an excellent card to have in hand as well as to mill. However, some people have had success with only 2 copies, leaving room for more tech spots. This card is another reason this deck is so expensive, given it's a UR from an older main box, Truth Universe, a box that most people didn't really want to invest in unless they're fans of DDDs or waiting for Mist to become broken. So now, next we have Charge of the Light Brigade and Raiden, Hand of the Lightsworn. Anyone who's basically been playing anything over the past year and a half has an idea of what these 2 are for. These are basically your milling cards, both played at 2 copies each. Charge lets you mill 3 cards to add Raiden from deck to your hand. Meanwhile, Raiden lets you mill 2 cards during your mid phase and 2 cards during your end phase. The goal of milling is to mill Miscellaneousaurus as a minimum, which allows you to basically combo off with Raiden on the field, as well as the Misk special summoning the Raptor from the deck. That allows you to go into a level 5 synchro because synergy. Then if you have Screw Serpent either in the hand or in the grave, that lets you go into your full turn 1 combo right there. Finally, for the core, we have Fossil Dig, which is Rex's level 40 reward, which we only have access to 1 copy of thus far. This lets you add a level 6 or lower dino monster from your deck to your hand, essentially acting as another copy of Miscellaneousaurus as well as Booster Raptor. Typically use this to search Misk to then discard and summon Raptor from deck, allowing you to start off your combos. In our variant, we're running 1 Fossil Dig, 3 Raptors, and 3 Miscellaneousaurus, essentially giving us 7 copies of Booster Raptor. The remainder of its main deck are techs. 3 copies of Book of Moon, and 3 copies of Forbidden Lands. Book of Moon is the reason why this is now super expensive and money AF, but also it's sought after for good reason. Book of Moon helps you play the game in instances where you otherwise might not be able to. For example, putting down a turn 1 bouncer that could otherwise stop you from playing with a well-timed negate allows you to actually play. If you don't have this though, you could replace this with another tech card, such as a Canadia, Forbidden Lance, or some back row hate such as MST and Cosmic. Forbidden Lance is an overall fantastic card as it helps you protect your own monsters when your opponent interrupts your combos, as well as protects your own boss monster from Book of Moons and offerings on their turn, where they would otherwise be there, which would otherwise be their only outs to your big booty negate. Spoiler alert, we'll talk more about that later on. Again, it's going to be replaced with something like a Cosmic or MST, or even Hate True Nade since we don't play limited to 2 cards. Now onto the extra deck. The main core card here is the TG Star Guardian, which we play at 2 copies of. What the Star Guardian does is, on summon, Star Guardian lets you add a TG monster from your graveyard back to your hand. And you typically use this effect to add a Screw Serpent from your graveyard back to the hand. To then activate TG Star Guardian's second effect, which allows you to special summon 1 TG monster from your hand during your main phase. Both effects are hard once per turn. This essentially allows you to special summon a Serpent, who can then special summon a Raptor, going into another level 5 synchro that lets you ultimately go into your boss monster. Star Guardian is also a synchro tuner, and also has a fancy effect where, during your opponent's turn, you can synchro summon using this card you control, similar to Crystron Quandax, where you could use your field for the synchro summon. This is also in the new main box that was released with Anthony. It's an SR. Personally, I prefer 2 copies of it. You can get away with 1 copy of it, but I think having 2 really does help you facilitate some follow-up plays. Star Guardian is the reason why we play Vulcan the Divine in our extra deck. A synchro that's mostly never really seen any play besides some Infernity cheese. The idea of the combo being Serpent plus Raptor in hand allows you to turn 1 make a Star Guardian to give you a level 4, a level 5, and a level 1. You could use Star Guardian's effect to synchro summon on their turn using the Raptor. 5 plus 1 equals 6, aka Vulcan, which then allows you to bounce your Serpent while bouncing their monster, basically interrupting the normal summon while allowing you to reuse your Serpent for a follow-up turn. There's a combo we'll go into later that's more devastating than this combo, but this is a really useful combo against decks where your main goal is to interrupt 1 summon while saving resources for a follow-up. Example where this is really relevant is against Noble Knights. The skill we're playing is essential to this variant of TGs. It is called Set Delta Accel, and what it does is, well, first off, it's the default skill that comes with Anthony when you unlock them, so it's a relatively accessible skill as long as you've unlocked the character. Skill adds TG Halvor Cannon, TG Blade Blaster, TG Power Gladiator, TG Wonder Magician, and TG Reciproco Dragonfly to your extra deck, in addition to your regular extra deck. This essentially lets you start the duel with 12 extra deck cards, beating out Ultimate Dragons with their 10 card extra deck. TBH, this still feels too tight as there are plenty of extra deck cards I wish I could add in, just for like niche situations, but you just don't have room to commit to a spot to them because a lot of these extra deck monsters would rarely come up in most situations. Okay, so just going over what these added extra deck monsters do is Powered Gladiator pierces and essentially draws a card when it gets destroyed. Wonder Magician lets you target a back row on its summon. Currently, Wonder Magician is only available to use through the skill. Wonder Magician is also Synchro Tuner, like Star Guardian, and allows you to Synchro Summon using itself and the rest of your board during your opponent's main phase. There's a combo that comes up where you use both Wonder Magician and the Star Guardian to make a fancy Synchro Summon play. Next up, we got Blade Blaster, which lets you negate a spell or trap effect that targets it as a quick effect by sending a card from your hand to the graveyard. This isn't a once per turn effect either, so it's kind of like Dark Cavalry, but notably more restrictive. Blade Blaster also lets you banish a TG monster from your graveyard to banish its Blade Blaster itself from your field until the next standby phase. It's a bit of a weird effect, and it doesn't really come up often, but essentially what it lets you do is dodge an effect that Blaster otherwise might not be able to stop, keeping it safe if you're able to survive until the next turn when it's able to come back. The Reciproco lets you send a Synchro monster to the grave, and then summon all of the Synchro monsters used for Synchro Summon on the field. Now for the last card added from the skill, and that is our boss monster. We got Halvor Cannon, the true boss of the deck. This card is your typical turn 1 play. Halberd allows you to, once per turn, during either player's turn, negate the summon of a monster, destroying that monster. That essentially allows you to lock out your opponent from the coveted normal summon and prevent them from playing the game in many cases. It's worth noting that Halberd's effect functions similar to Roach, meaning it cannot negate summons that would be potentially starting a chain link or involved in a chain link, such as Saber Dancer summoned off of Lunalight Fusion, or Thunder Dragon monster summoned off of Thunder Dragon Hawk. However, Halberd can negate common threats such as Levi in your summon, alternative white dragon summon, and even XC summon, something that Roach can't do. Halberd also has an effect where if it is sent to the grave in any way, you can summon a TG monster from your graveyard. Halberd itself can only be synchro summoned, so you can't summon a Halberd off of its own effect, but you can summon the Blade Blaster off of this effect, giving you a 3300 attack body that can also negate some targeting effects. It's worth noting that Halberd's float can miss timing, so something like a treasure trap hole being chained to another card effect can destroy Halberd and stop it from doing anything. Halberd is summoned off of 1 tuner synchro monster and 2 non-tuner synchro monsters, which pretty much means it's like super impossible to actually summon in a practical sense, is what we would normally say, but the skill we're playing actually has another benefit. When you synchro summon at least 2 TG synchro monsters during your turn, you can play TG Reciproco Dragonfly from your extra deck. This essentially turns Serpant plus Raptor into a 2-card turn 1 Halberd, allowing you to easily summon Star Guardian and Power Gladiator, and then use your skill to play Reciproco Dragonfly from the extra deck. All synchro monsters, with Star Guardian being a tuner, equaling up to level 12. It's worth noting that while set Delta Accel isn't a once per duel effect, you can't use it again in a subsequent turn if you don't have a copy of Reciproco in your extra deck, since that monster is played directly from your extra deck and not from outside of it. Now let's brace for the big PP combo, and why we play both Blackrose and Onimaru in the extra deck. Let's say you do your typical Serpent plus Raptor combo. That can lead you to a board of Wonder Magician, Star Guardian, and Reciproco turn 1 thanks to the skill. Now it's your opponent's main phase. Say they set 3 backer on a monster, they're feeling safe and protected, and go to their main phase. You get a prompt, and it says, it's the end of your opponent's main phase. Want chain, bro? You say yes, and activates either Star Guardian or Wonder Magician's effect, but not both. You just want one of them to synchro summon Reciproco so that you can make Blackrose during their turn able to wipe their entire board. Now, before we even do that, when Blackrose is summoned and activates this effect, you could chain your other level 5 tuner synchro to synchro summon using Blackrose to make an Onimaru. Onimaru just so happens to be protected by destruction, meaning it survives the Blackrose pop on resolution. Instead of summoned using only synchro monsters, it now gains 3000 attack whenever it attacks. The combo itself feels broken, but only if the opponent doesn't know about it or how to play around it. Since synchro summoning on your opponent's turn only happens during their main phase, the opponent can play only some of their cards, prompt the end of their main phase, and after you Blackrose into Onimaru, they could go and do their real plays using the rest of the cards in their hand, since the game allows them to then continue on with their main phase afterwards. This becomes a mind game in itself. Do you Blackrose and risk your opponent getting the chance to continue on to their main phase, or do you let them end their main phase and risk your opponent having set a powerful back row? It's also worth noting that a Book of Moon or an Offerings on the Recipro makes this combo dead on arrival, making Forbidden Lands that much more valuable. Blackrose also misses timing, meaning that if you synchro summon using Guardian or Magician in response to your opponent activating a card effect, Blackrose will not pop on summon. Finally, we have Brionic, which needs no introduction. A powerful synchro that the deck can make early game and lets the deck facilitate some very interesting OTKs. The standard 2-card Serpent and Raptor combo can allow you to OTK through one monster set using Brionic, as well as something like a Power Guardian or a Wonder Magician, if you're feeling lucky. For the last spot, I chose Sam D. Honestly, this is the most variable option for the extra deck space. I honestly just put Sam D to deal with ladder cheese, but found myself barely summoning it. Initially, I thought that we had more machines in the deck just because Anthony looks pretty machine-like, so I honestly thought Star Guardian was a machine for a long time. It's not. So, yeah, it's a nice generic synchro, but hardly needing the deck. Its float is nice, but if it gets Karma Cut, the only other card it could potentially float into is a Blade Master or Blaster, since it and Halberd are your only machines in the deck, and Halberd can only be synchro summoned. Sam D can be replaced with Coral Dragon for removal, or Powered and Zectron for protection during your opponent's turn, if you have a Star Guardian and Raptor set up during your main phase. There are many other synchros you could add, like Miscellaneousaurus and Quarion, but getting their summons in requires more specific game states and comes up less frequently IMO. If you're feeling super spicy, you could always play a second Recipro to get a follow-up Recipro combo after using your first one, but that also typically doesn't come off often. Honestly, the deck itself is hugely spicy and has some pretty broken plays for how easily the deck can make them. Screw Serpent and Raptor or Raiden and Misk with a milled Serpent ends up being 2-card combo starters that are easily accessible and make for some powerful turn 1 boards. It's definitely worth noting that there are very rare situations where you can actually make a turn 1 Halberd with just one card. Basically, it requires a charge of Light Brigade giving you some good mills. The variety in which the deck itself can combo off keeps it from being too linear. That being said, the deck itself suffers even if it pulls off combo turn 1. One resolved Karma Cut can basically wreck Halberd if you don't have a Forbidden Lance to protect or a Book of Moon to flip down. And even if you do have a Book of Moon to flip down, you're now stuck with a face down Halberd, which prevents us from actually negating anything. Going second, your 2-card combo becomes more like a 3-card combo, as you'll likely need a Forbidden Lance to play through any relevant back row, and triple back row set do be scary. A typical choke point for interrupting the combo is hitting the Screw Serpent before it gets the Synchro Summon. If using Bouncer to try to negate, you typically want to save the Bouncer negate to hit the Star Guardian special summon from the hand effect. Steel Storm's Roach also gets a lot of value with this deck being out now, being able to shut down the deck entirely by negating all of your Synchro Summons, meaning you have to basically have Book of Moon in hand ready to play, as with the case with Bouncer. Necro Valley pretty much shuts this deck down, only being able to deal with it by making the awkward play of summoning a Wonder Magician to pop Necro, which can only be done with Screw Serpent and Raptor in hand, since Mist can't banish to summon and Raptor can't be summoned off of Serpent from the grave. Necro alone makes it worth teching in some Cosmics and MSTs and praying you don't mill them instead. Finally, Water Exceed is pretty much unwinnable with your typical turn 1 setups if they do go first. This Dweller stops Mist from banishing to summon Raptor. Meanwhile, Infantry detach to pop whatever you have on the field pretty much ends up being GG. The best way to stop Water is to go first with combo and have plenty of Forbidden Lance, or to just pray that you have Book of Moon with Raptor and Serpent already in hand. And that's pretty much it. I'll go in and show off a whole bunch of replays now, which is just me basically stroking my own ego while commenting really fast as to why I would do anything. Now we have ourselves a replay versus Reginald Shark Castle, aka one of our worst matchups because they go first and set up a Dweller, and we're reliant on Miscellaneousaurus to summon the Raptor, then we basically lose because they could just prevent us from doing so. But we get to go first, and also Necro Valley cucks us very, very much. We hate Necro Valley so much. Please stop, Necro Valley. We might have to be teching in Cosmics and MST to be able to play around Necro Valley B2A. By the way, anyway, we're going first, so we're chilling. We're going to discard the Miscellaneousaurus first, so we can then activate its effect from the graveyard to banish it, special summoning the Booster Raptor, thinning the deck as well, so that we can then activate Charge Light Brigade, milling another Miscellaneousaurus as well as Raptor and a Raiden, so we could add our last Raiden from deck to the hand. We have Screw Serpent in the hand, so if we milled a Screw Serpent in this situation, we would have just normal summoned the Raiden instead, because we'd still have full combo that way, and then we'd save the Screw Serpent for the follow-up. But since that's not the case, we at least have ourselves a Miscellaneousaurus as well as the Booster Raptor in the deck for the follow-up, so that we could then normal summon this Raiden, go banish the Miscellaneousaurus for the follow-up to make a Booster Raptor from the deck summon, and we'd have a Star Guardian that could then pick up this Screw Serpent that's inevitably going to be in the graveyard. So just things to think about or something like that. So we're going to go ahead and Screw Serpent, we're going to just activate its effect right away when normal summoning to special summon that Booster Raptor from the graveyard onto the field. Then we're going to use one of the Booster Raptors as well as the Screw Serpent to make Star Guardian. Star Guardian is going to activate on summon to add the Screw Serpent from the graveyard back to the hand. Then we're going to activate the Star Guardian's second effect to special summon that Screw Serpent. We got ourselves another level 5 Synchro. We got the Power Gladiator, and we're going all in. We're going to try to negate all their summons. And we got the Forbidden Lance, so we're ready for that Book of Moon. We got ourselves the Blade Blaster. It is here, and I hope you feel fear. We're going to activate the skill, so we summon 2 or more TG Synchro monsters this turn. We're going to play the Reciproco from the extra deck. We're going to activate the effect of the Reciproco, sending the Blade Blaster to the graveyard, so we can special summon back the Star Guardian as well as the Power Gladiator. And we're going into the set of the Forbidden Lance, and we have ourselves a level 12 Synchro. You know it, baby. It's the Halvor Cannon. It's worth noting that the Reciproco that's played off of the skill is considered properly summoned. So when you follow up with like a Serpent summon to summon it from the graveyard, you could summon that Reciproco. So that could be a potential way of you making a level 6 Synchro. It sometimes comes up. Or if you have another Serpent in the graveyard, it could be a way for you to make a level 7 Synchro by boosting the Reciproco to level 3, and then you have 4+3. So anyway, we have ourselves a Necro Valley being activated, which if we went second against this, that would have just been an auto loss because we're dumb and we don't play Cosmic or MST. They set 2 back row, and they're going to go set their monster. They know if they summon it, we're going to negate it. That's the end of their turn. Now we have ourselves a way to push for game by attacking with Raiden and attacking directly for game, but let's be real, this is Treacherous Trap Hole meta, so we're gonna not do anything, and we're gonna force them to Tretch their own monster as we respond with the Forbidden Lance. There was a bit of a delay in this situation. I feel like they had their own Forbidden Lance there that they decided, god damn it, I can't do anything about that because Forbidden Lance does not negate Forbidden Lance. I mean, it does, but it doesn't stop us from not being Tretched. So we attack directly for turn 200, ending our turn. Man, this card would have been broken if it had 4800 attack. That's why sometimes we want to be greedy and summon Onimaru, but it never works out. Let's be real. So they go ahead ahead, send themselves another back row, and end their turn. We rip into the Booster Raptor, which means no more live Miscellaneousaurus banished from the deck, but we can still special summon this Booster Raptor, which means that we could then normal summon that Raiden and then go for more synchro plays, but they just scoop it up. And that's how you get lucky and beat waters. Alright, so we're going second. We got ourselves one piece of puzzle. We got Screw Serpent, but we also got Charge of the Light Brigade, which could honestly give us a very good chance of getting the other piece very easily. And we got ourselves some protection as well, so we're kind of chilling. As they go ahead, they set a monster, they set a back row, and end their turn. We're going to go ahead, we're going to top into the Miscellaneousaurus, we're going to activate Miscellaneousaurus effect first, we're going to then activate to discard it, and then we're going to activate in the graveyard to banish it to special summon a Boost Raptor from the deck. Doing that so we can thin the deck. And this is why people should really read what Miscellaneousaurus does, as they activate the Karma Cut incredibly early, knowing what this deck totally does, discarding an Alistair to unsuccessfully banish the Booster Raptor. Then we activate Charge of the Light Brigade, milling a Miscellaneousaurus for a follow-up turn. We still have one Booster Raptor left in the deck. We go ahead, we normal summon the Serpent, the Screw Serpent. Now, if we had milled a Screw Serpent in the graveyard, I would have opted to summon the Raiden instead, because then we'd just be able to add that Screw Serpent back to the hand with Star Guardian. But since we didn't do so, we summoned the Screw Serpent, and we could always use the Raiden along with the Mist to summon a Booster Raptor for the follow-up turn later on. So we got ourselves Serpent into the Raptor, into the Star Guardian, activating Star Guardian's effect to add the Screw Serpent back to the hand from the graveyard. Activate the second effect of Star Guardian to special summon from the hand the Screw Serpent, so we could activate the Screw Serpent's effect when normal special summon to special summon the Booster Raptor from the graveyard. Going into another level 5 synchro. This time we're going into the Power Gladiator. We're going to go ahead, activate Stat Delta Accel. We're going to play the Reciproco from the extra deck. We're going to then activate Screw Serpent's effect from the graveyard, banishing it so we can decrease the level of the Reciproco by 1, so we could go into 1+5 play. That is a Brionic, baby. We're going to activate the effect of Brionic, discarding the Raiden. We're going for OTK. We set our text, and we're chilling. Attacking for 23, it goes through. Attacking for 23, and it goes through. You attack with the Power Guardian last, just because if there is a possibility that they have a battle in Boxer Veil, at least you get to do 500 points of pierce damage. Who knows, that might make the difference. Alright guys, this is another replay. This time we are going against Akiza Izinski. We're activating our effect. They got themselves a 22 card our effect. We're activating a skill or something like that. We got ourselves a 22 card deck up top. They didn't activate any skill, so we're going to assume that this is Thunder Dragons. They are going first. Usually if this is Thunder Dragons, you want to go first against them, but we'll see how it goes. They activate Dragon Dark's effect so they could discard it, so they could add another Dragon Dark from the deck to the hand, and they're going to end their turn. A bit of a bricky start for them, but we will take full advantage of that. As we go ahead, activate Miscellaneousaurus effect, we discard it, and then we activate its other effect in graveyard, banishing it, so we can special summon a Booster Raptor from the deck. We activate Charge of the Light Brigade. We did the misplay first so we could thin the deck so we could mill more important stuff, like a Screw Serpent, so we have full combo without actually needing Screw Serpent in hand. As we go ahead, add the Raiden from the deck to the hand, we normal summon the Raiden. We mill 2 more just to mill more. So we go into a Star Guardian play. Star Guardian going to add ourselves the Screw Serpent from the graveyard back to the hand. Then going to activate the second effect of Star Guardian to special summon the Screw Serpent. Going to go ahead and activate Screw Serpent's effect to special summon the Booster Raptor, to which they finally free us from the shackles that they're toggled on. Activating Dragon Dark's effect to discard it, adding another Dragon Dark from the deck to the hand. We got Booster Raptor going to be used as synchro material along with the Screw Serpent to make Power Gladiator. Are we going for lethal? Let's see what we do. We go Power Gladiator, going to be used as synchro material along with Star Guardian to make ourselves a level 10 synchro. It's the Blade Blaster. And the reason we do this is because when we played the skill to play the Reciproco from the extra deck, we could then activate its effect to send a Blade Blaster to the graveyard to resummon both level 5s that we used for its synchro summon, the Power Gladiator as well as the Star Guardian. And the reason we do that is because when we ultimately make this spoiler alert, Halberd, when this Halberd is destroyed or sent to the graveyard, if it doesn't miss timing, it's able to float into another TG monster. So we could float into the Blade Blaster because we properly summoned it. And we may as well because it has some sort of protection, as well as it has the ability to just be a thick boy. So we go Reciprocos here, we resummon the other 2 level 5s, sending the Blade Blaster to the graveyard, and we go into the ultimate synchro play. 4K attack to the face. We're going to set a back row, just saying the Forbidden, not the Forbidden Lance, the Book of Moon. We figured the Forbidden Lance probably won't help much, so we're just like, whatever. They activate Sphere Karibo on their direct attack, so it's not over yet. As they go ahead, top into a Charge of the Light Brigade. I don't know if they actually top into it, but let's be real, they definitely did if they didn't use it last turn. So I just wasn't paying attention to what happened. I'm saying nonsense. Anyway, we got ourselves Raiden summon. We're gonna immediately book a moon it now. So what we were thinking, do we wanna negate the summon of this Raiden? And we looked at their graveyard. We saw they only had dark monsters, so Levineer isn't really too scary for us. The most Levineer could do is just snipe a card from our hand. But we don't want to negate the summon of Raiden because that will allow them to have a light in the graveyard to then be able to summon Levineer while popping the Halberd. So we're gonna leave ourselves a free negate as they banish three darks to try to special summon the Levineer, and we negate it with the Halberd. But they do still get the Dragon Dark's effect to be able to add the Dragon Hawk from the deck to the hand. They're going to reveal the Dragon Hawk to special summon from the graveyard the Dragon Dark. They're at least giving themselves a field that could give them some stalling potential. So we're chilling though. We top into our own chart of the Brigade, milling the Misk at least, and it is still live. So we're going to go do that. We're going to banish the Misk so we can special summon the last Booster Raptor from our deck. We're going to then go ahead and normal summon the... Ooh, I remember this replay now. Normal summon the Raiden. We're going to go ahead and make the Star Guardian. Star Guardian is going to allow us to do the same thing as before, adding the Screw Serpent from the graveyard back to the hand, but we decide to this time special summon the Booster Raptor instead. Going into a level 6 Synchro, we make ourselves Brionic, and it just so happens that we have plenty of cards to discard. For Brionic to discard 2, bounce 2, and we got lethal through Halvor Cannon, and that's a scoop. Alright, now we got ourselves another replay, this time versus Cal and Kessler. We are going second, and we're going to be assuming that this is some Infernity cheese. Let's see if they activate a skill. 23 card deck, unconventional for Infernity, so we might be wrong. We'll see what they do. They are going first, so they're going to go ahead and normal summon Raiden. We got debated by our own assumptions as they go ahead and mill 2 Million Lavineer as well as Melody. Feels good. And phase the mill Chaos Betrayer as well as Raiden. What the? But that's okay, because we have full combo now. As we normal summon the Serpent, we decided not to use the Miscellaneous effect just yet. We were thinking, maybe we want to kind of keep the Booster Raptor as special summon from the deck for a later play in case we have to top into Raiden. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't actually remember this replay. As we make ourselves the Star Guardian on summon is going to allow us to add the Screw Serpent from the graveyard back to the hand. We're going to activate the Star Guardian's effect, special summon that Screw Serpent, and then special summon with the Screw Serpent the Raptor from the graveyard. Going into another level 5 Synchro, it is the Power Gladiator. Are we going for OTK? Set Delta Accel is here. We're going into a level 10 Synchro, so I think we're actually taking the safer route. We see a 23 card Thunder Dragon deck. Well, we haven't actually seen any Thunder Dragons, but we see a 23 card deck playing Chaos. We're gonna assume there's a hand trap in the hand that might protect them from getting OTK'd here. So instead we decide to go for the level 10, making the Blade Blaster again, and then we're activating the Reciprocode that we played from the skill earlier so that we could send the Blade Blaster to the graveyard to resummon the Synchro monsters used for its Synchro summon, making the TG Power Gladiator as well as the Star Guardian come back to the field. Worth noting that if you didn't activate the Star Guardian's effect earlier to add a TG monster from your graveyard back to the hand, you can activate it when you're summoning it back off of Reciprocode's effect. So we're going into the Halvor Cannon now, and look at that. We got ourselves a skipped animation. Sorry, everybody. Miscellaneousaurus is going to get discarded. Miscellaneousaurus is going to decide to banish so we can special summon the TG Booster Raptor from the deck. In attack position, we're setting the Book of Moon, we're setting the Forbidden Lance, we're attacking to the Raiden, it goes through. We're testing for any more delays as well as poking for 400 with Booster Raptor. And we did this because monster summoned off of Miscellaneousaurus gets destroyed in the end phase of that turn. And that's a benefit to us because when the Booster Raptor is destroyed, we get to add the Screw Serpent from the deck to the hand, which gives us follow-up. So they're going to go ahead now. They're going to summon the Glow Bulb. We're not going to get debated. We're going to let them do what they have to do. They're going to go banish 2, banishing a light in the dark to summon the Chaos Sorcerer. We were not expecting that, so we say that's not worth negating. We still need to wait for the Levineer. So we go ahead and activate the Book of Moon. It toggled on to get rid of that Sorcerer, and they realize, okay, if you decide to if I decide to Levineer you now, I just basically GG. So thank you, GG, bye. Alright, now we have ourselves a replay going first against Zane Truesdale. Do we assume this is Cyber Dragons? They have themselves a 20 card deck, no activated skill. We have ourselves a pretty nice hand. No Screw Serpent, but we have ourselves other combo facilitators. We have Charge and Raiden and Fossil Dick. So we're going to activate the Fossil Dick first to thin our deck a little bit. We're going to add the Miscellaneousaurus from the deck to the hand. And since we're going to be, we really do be wanting to special summon from the deck. And so we're going to want to activate Miscellaneousaurus effect. I'm just guarding it to banish so we can special summon the Raptor from the deck. deck. Thinning the deck before activating the charge so we could have a more likely chance of milling the Screw Serpent. We don't just yet mill in 2 Misks though. We get a Raiden from deck to the hand. No more Raidens for us. We're going to normal summon that Raiden. We're going to pray for that Serpent mill. And we milled 2 Serpents with Raiden. Feels good, man. As we got ourselves a full combo now. Going into the Synchro Summon of the Star Guardian in defense mode. Upon summon is going to allow us to add the Serpent from the graveyard back to the hand. Back to the hand. It was never in the hand, but it is now. As we activate the second effect of Star Guardian, so we can special summon the Screw Serpent and activate the Screw Serpent's effect to special summon the Raptor. We got ourselves another level 5 synchro. It is the Power Gladiator. We are getting ready to negate some summons. Set Delta Accel is going to activate. We're going to play the Reciproco from the extra deck. We're going to go into level 10 synchro using the Power Guardian and Star Guardian to make the Power Gladiator. Whatever. We got into the level 10 synchro anyway. Blade Blasters here. Activate Reciproco to send it back to the graveyard, or to the graveyard, so we could play the Star Guardian as well as the Power Gladiator from the graveyard into level 10 synchro. We summon defense because the attack and defense are equal, so why would we summon in attack mode with Saber Dances playing around? And this could be Master Fusion. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to summon the Raptor in defense position as well, just in case, just to be safe, because really, there's no point in keeping in the hand. If our board gets broken, then that Raptor is going to be useless in the hand, and if it does get destroyed this turn, at the very least, we get to get a Search of a Serpent, which could give us some follow-up plays, and we do have a Misk in the graveyard to summon another Raptor, so we have some follow-up plays. They go ahead, summon Veer. We know that they have no other normal summons that we can negate, or any other special summons that Halberd would negate. So they set a back row. We're going to go ahead, summon the Raiden. Something like a Cyberload Fusion or a Fusion Gate summon would not be able to be negated by Halvor Cannon. So there was no point in saving our negation for anything else, even if Veer was a very underwhelming monster to negate. So we got ourselves the Wonder Magician. We're deciding to go ahead and proc them to go into an activation of that back row early. Wonder Magician going to activate to pop the Abyss Scorn. But we knew it could be that, and we knew we had to play against that in case that worst case scenario happened. There was no delay when I was playing this, but you know, ladder be juicy and can sometimes be just taking in some nonsense, jotting mere force. So to play around that, we lose our Halberd, but we get to special summon the Blade Blaster from the graveyard, so we're still chilling. And just for the added cheese, we banish the Miscellaneousaurus, so we can special summon the Booster Raptor from the deck. We attack directly with the Wonder Magician, it goes through. We attack directly with the Blade Blaster, and it goes through. Alright, now we have ourselves what seems to be a mirror match as we both go and play the Set Delta Accel skill. 12 card extra decks for each, and it still doesn't feel like enough for either of us, I assume. We're going first. Our hand is a little unfortunate, but we're going to have to persevere. As we go ahead, activate the effect of Miscellaneousaurus from the hand, discarding it, so that we could then activate its effect from the graveyard, banishing it, so that we can special summon Booster Raptor from the deck. We then set our other Booster Raptor and set our Forbidden Lands, and at least now, if we make it through their next turn, we have ourselves a Screw Serpent search, because the Booster Raptor was destroyed in the end phase of that turn, being summoned off of Miscellaneousaurus and all. Seriously, just read Miscellaneousaurus effect. They had themselves a charge of the Light Brigade. We are sad, as they mill 3 to add Raiden from the deck to the hand. They have a Misk, but they also mill 2 Book of Moons, so at least we don't have to deal with 2 of those Book of Moons. Misk gonna activate on their side to special summon the Booster Raptor from the deck. They're gonna normal summon that Raiden. They're gonna try to mill 2 more. If they don't have Screw Serpent in the graveyard or in the hand, we might be chilling. They didn't mill a Screw Serpent, so now this is very much dependent on whether or not they had Screw Serpent, and it looks like they didn't, so they go into battle. They think about it. They decide it's not worth killing the potential Booster Raptor, I said, so they end turn. Booster Raptor on their side is gonna get destroyed, so they could add a Screw Serpent from the deck to the hand. They mill 2 more in the end phase, and now it's our turn. We have ourselves Forbidden Lands, so if only one of those back rows is interrupting us, then we might just be chilling. As we go ahead, we normal summon the Screw Serpent, allowing us to special summon the Booster Raptor from the graveyard. We go into a level 5 synchro. It is the Star Guardian. Star Guardian gonna activate, gonna allow us to add this Screw Serpent from the graveyard back to the hand. Activating Star Guardian's effect to special summon that Screw Serpent. Big PP attack position, flipping up the Booster Raptor that was set from before. They guessed it. We got ourselves a Power Gladiator. Power Gladiator is going to go and be used with the Star Guardian to make ourselves the Blade Blaster. We're going all in with the Synchro Summons. We haven't been interrupted yet, so we're assuming that they don't have anything this far, because otherwise I feel like you would have interrupted the Screw Serpent when we had both of the... Well, we had, I mean, I don't know, maybe they didn't want to, they were scared about the monster I had set before. But regardless, we're surprised we haven't been interrupted yet. As we play the Reciproco from the extra deck, we then activate its effect to send the Blade Blaster to the graveyard so we could play the Power Gladiator as well as the Star Guardian, to which they decide, let's interrupt you now with a Book of Moon onto the Star Guardian, our 1-tuner, to which we respond with the Forbidden Land saying no flippity floppity for you. We have ourselves a level 12 Synchro, and it is going through. And if somehow they interrupt this, we have a Book of Moon to try to interrupt them for their follow-up. Looks like we might actually be ahead in this mirror match as we have Halvor Cannon in attack position. We attack the Raiden, dealing 2100 damage and ending our turn. They're going to go ahead and normal summon the Screw Serpent, but we're going to negate the summon of that Screw Serpent, negating it and destroying it, and there goes their win con. Only way to stop this by that point was to Book of Moonas, but unfortunately they milled all their Book of Moons. You hate to see it, but you also love to see it. Alright, we got ourselves a replay versus Holy Guard. We are going to go first. We have ourselves no Screw Serpent, but we have ourselves other ways to get combo. We have ourselves ways to get Raptor on the field without using a normal summon, so we're kind of chilling. I'm just gonna discard Raptor first so we could then banish it from graveyard to special summon Raptor from the deck, thin in our deck before activating Charge of Light Brigade. We only play 2 Raiden, so if we mill a single Raiden, the second Charge of Light Brigade will be dead. Unfortunately for us, we didn't do that, so we got to add Raiden from the deck to the hand, and we get to activate the second Charge of the Light Brigade to add a second Raiden from the deck to the hand, while milling 2 Screw Serpents with that last charge, giving us full combo now. Normal summoning the Raiden using itself as well as the Raptor as single material to make the Star Guardian, allowing us to activate its effect on summon to add the Screw Serpent from the graveyard to the hand. Then we're going to activate the second effect of Star Guardian, special summon the Screw Serpent, so we could then activate the Screw Serpent's effect when normal special summon to special summon the Boost Raptor from the graveyard. Going into the Wonder Magician, we decided to go into Blackrose into Onimaru strats, baby, because we saw they were playing Holy Guard. We know this is some potential back row atrocity, so we're going to play around that. I'm going to activate set Delta Accel, and we're going to end our turn. Worth noting that Wonder Magician, when summoned, it forces you to activate its effect to pop a set back row. So if we're the only ones with a set back row, we are going to have to pop our back row. So now another thing worth noting before I continue this Synchro summon, on their turn, when they only set 1 and then proceeded to end their main phase, we felt that they were trying to bait us. So the only time we could actually Synchro summon on their turn is during their main phase. So when they end their main phase, whether it's to go into battle or end phase, we are given a prompt saying it is before the opponent's main phase. Do you want to do anything? aka, do you want to Synchro summon to Blackrose? And if we said yes and did that, we'd be able to make Blackrose and pop this back row. But then they'd be able to get a prompt saying, okay, do you want to continue your main phase now? In which case, they could then set 3 more back row if they wanted to. So we decided it was not worth it letting them potentially debate us into setting their actual important back rows. So we let them have their back row because I felt like they had more in hand. 4 cards in hand for a deck like this, no way they didn't have more. No way they were trying to debate us. So it's now our turn. We go into a level 2 plus level 5 synchro play, making the Sam D. Sam D, I don't know. I don't really have much value off of this card because the only real machines that we have are Sam D, as well as the Halberd, as well as the Blade Blaster. So it's recursive effect. Like if it's banished off of Karma Cut, it's usually not summoning anything. Halberd can't be summoned off of Samurai Destroyer, so you're really only summoning Blade Blaster if the Sam D gets banished, and that's like a very unlikely game state to ever been in. So this is like a very variable tech spot. You could replace it with like Powered Insectron or something else. I don't know. Regardless, this is an aside. We got ourselves the special summon of the Booster Raptor. Didn't have to use a normal summon for this because we have a TG on the field already. So we go into a level 6 Synchro now. We have Brionic. We're going to go ahead and normal summon the Raiden. We're not even going to bother activating Brionic's effect. We're doing this because we felt the delay on that opponent's back row. So there's no point in going to Brionic strats. And we wanted to make sure we had lethal through 1 monster getting interrupted. So in battle phase, they activate the Karma Cut, discarding Amazon's Paladin to banish the Samurai Destroyer. We still have lethal supposedly. Raiden can attack for 1700. It goes through. Brionic can attempt to attack for game, but Sphere Karibo says it goes poo. So we mill 2 and end our turn. Was not expecting that from Amazonas. As they set a monster, they set a back row and set 2 more back row, and that's how we knew they were trying to debate us with the 1 back row set only. We draw into the Screw Serpent. We decided not to summon it because we're too clocked to do anything about it. Raiden gonna attack into that monster. We were thinking about using Brionic's effect, but if that was an Amazon's Onslaught set, then they'd be able to resummon that monster using Onslaught's effect. So Raiden gonna activate, Raiden gonna attack rather, attack into the Sage, and we wanted to get rid of Raiden if it wasn't Amazon's Onslaught more than we wanted to get rid of Brionic, especially with the milling potentially killing us. So Brionic gonna get attacking directly for game. However, Willpower gonna activate the special summon of the Amazon's Paladin in attack position, giving them the opportunity to take some damage for whatever reason, but also banishing our Brionic. So it's now a top deck situation for them, but also we only have 3 cards left in our deck. Alright, they set a back row, and that's the end of their turn. We rip into Book of Moon, we normal summon the Screw Serpent, we're going to special summon the Booster Raptor from the graveyard, we're going to set that Book of Moon, we're going to go into a level 5 Seeker. This time it's the Power Gladiator, and we're going to go attack directly, but Canadia says no. Honestly, if they didn't banish our Raiden, they would have been chilling right now. They would have won. Of course, we would have been able to Book of Moon our Raiden in the end phase, but they didn't know that. So we could have been in a risky situation where if the Raiden wasn't banished, we would have been decking ourselves out. So we go ahead after they set their monster. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna flip up our Power Gladiator, and if they have 500 or less defense, we win. And they had 500 or less defense. Sometimes people forget. Power Gladiator does pierce. Alright, now we have ourselves a replay versus Ultimate Dragons. 22 card deck up top. We're going first. We do have ourselves full combo. We have Screw Serpent, normal summon into the special summon from the hand, the Raptor to go into the Star Guardian. Star Guardian is going to activate, so we could add from the graveyard back to the hand the Screw Serpent. Can activate Star Guardian second effect, so we can special summon that Screw Serpent, so that we can then special summon the Raptor from the graveyard. Remember, hard once per turn effects, but we have ways to still do our full combo despite that. So Power Gladiator is here. We got ourselves a level 10 Synchro now. Blade Blasters here. We've done at least 2 Synchro Summons of the TG monster, so we can now activate our skill, the set Delta Accel, to play from the extra deck the Reciproco, which we're going to activate to send the Blade Blaster to the graveyard, so we can then resummon the Star Guardian as well as the Power Gladiator. Now we go into Big PP Halvor. Cannon is here in defense mode because defense is smart here. We're going to set ourselves that back row and end our turn. Now negating here is a hard decision because they could summon Sage, and we could negate it to stop their search, as well as just like make things difficult for them. But also, the alternative is a threat. But it's a tough choice. I don't know. If I'm a better player, I'll tell you what the better choice is. They discard the cards of Constance, White Son of Legend, adding themselves a Blue Eyes White Dragon from the deck to the hand. They set a monster that they try to go for the Econ Take shenanigans, setting that Sage that they knew would be negated if they summoned it face up. But we respond with Forbidden Lance on the Halberd, making us unaffected by their spell and trap effects. They're going to set a back row and end their turn. We're going to go ahead. We're going to top it to the Book of Moon. We're going to normal summon the Screw Serpent. We're gonna okay, so here's what we were trying to do. The Book of Moon was an incredible top deck because we knew that was a Karma Cut. What we were planning on doing here was making Wonder Magician so we could force them to activate their Karma Cut early so that we could then respond with the Book of Moon onto the Halberd, flipping it face down, making it unaffected by Karma Cut, and then we'd just be able to flip it back face up and go for game. But they didn't afford us the optimal replay, so we're going to just show you what we were going to do anyway. We're going to Book of Moon now. They discard Dragon Spirit of White. Nice brick, bro. We're going to go ahead. We're still making Wonder Magician just to prove a point that this is what we were actually supposed to do. Here, we're popping that Karma Cut. Now they're activating it. Now we're Book of Mooning. Anyway, we're flipping ourselves up. We're going, and that's GG. We got ourselves a replay versus Bonds. We don't really know what Bonds usually plays nowadays, but whatever skill it would be, I would imagine it would actually be Posthumous Army, but we really don't know. So they're gonna go first. We have ourselves an interesting hand. It's potentially playable, but it's on the surface kind of underwhelming, but we'll see how it goes. As they go ahead and triple back row set, which has us feeling super sad already, they're gonna go ahead and normal summon the Gazuki, which is now going to tell us what it is. As they mill the Spectral Sword, and we're like, oh shit, it's sure doing. We're super scared now. So it's now to us. We top into the Fossil Link, so we're gonna activate that immediately, adding the Miscellaneousaurus from the deck to the hand, which is going to allow us to discard Miscellaneousaurus to get protection, but more importantly, banish it from the graveyard so that we can then special summon a Raptor from the deck. We then normal summon the Raiden, which is going to get immediately floodgated, but we respond with the Forbidden Lance, which is going to prompt them to activate Ballista Squad before Forbidden Lance resolves, tripping their Gazuki to pop the Raiden, preventing us from actually starting our plays. But we got to get rid of 2 of their back rows effectively to do so, as well as their Gazuki. We special summon Raptor, we set a back row, and the Raptor now summoned off Misk is destroyed in the end phase, which means we get to search a Screw Serpent for a follow-up play now. So this is a situation where Forbidden Lance is a lot nicer than a Blind Cosmic, so we were able to force out their best plays, their best back rows rather. So they go ahead, they set a back row, they don't make a Synchro Summon with Spectral Sword. I think they want to save it, so they pass. We go ahead, we normal summon Screw Serpent, we attempt to special summon the Raptor from the graveyard, which does happen. However, they Canadia our Screw Serpent, which means no Synchro Summon for you. We put the Raptor into attack position as well as the other Raptor, and we go attack for 800. We don't care at this point. We're big PP plays. We set ourselves ourselves a Book of Moon as well. We have double Book of Moon set now. They're going to go ahead, set another back row. They're still refusing to synchro summon using the Spectral Sword. They want to wait. We're going to go ahead now on our turn. We tap into the Mist. We're not going to use it right now. We're just going to flip up the Screw Serpent to make ourselves a Star Guardian with the Raptor. Star Guardian is going to be able to add the Screw Serpent to the hand from the graveyard, but they respond with Fiendish Chain to attempt to negate the Star Guardian. But we respond with Book of Moon on our own Star Guardian, flipping it down so that it cannot be negated by the Fiendish Chain. Now we get to use our normal summon. So we can normal summon the Screw Serpent, going into a TG Wonder Magician with the other Raptor. So we can try to pop their other back row. That other back row is another Fiendish Chain. We do have another Book of Moon. We could do the same thing, but we would get no value doing so. So we just let the negate go through. We end up going into the Dragonfly play. With the set Delta Accel skill, we then banish Screw Serpent from our graveyard, reducing the level of the Recipro by 1 to make a 1+5 play. You might have negated my Wonder Magician, but it's still a tuner at heart as we make ourselves a Brionic, and we poke for 2,300 because we are, I don't know, we're memeing. Activating their zombie draw though, which we honestly weren't thinking this could have been the skill they were playing, allowing them to pick up their deck and get a random zombie, which is going to be another Gazuki. We were thinking about using Book of Moon here to stop it. They'd still be able to do a Spectral Sword banish to summon another monster to kill our Brionic. So we were hoping they'd go greedy with the Solitaire Mill into the Spectral Sword summon with the Solitaire to make Arc Fiend Zombie Skull. We were basically hoping they'd go greedy to go into the Shogun Saga play here, but they were smarter than that, summoning off the Solitaire banish the Spectral Sword so they could go into a Synchro Summon with the Gazuki to make a Coral Dragon. No cards in hand. They're going to go ahead, attack with the Zombie Skull onto the Brionic, to which we respond with a Book of Moon on the Zombie Skull, flipping it face down. Coral is still too strong for us, killing the Brionic and leaving us in a bit of a bind as well. But we have ourselves the power of the top deck. We're going to go ahead, top deck into the Screw Serpent. We're going to flip up the Star Guardian, allowing us to special summon the Screw Serpent from the hand, which is going to allow us to add special summon the Recipro Dragonfly from the graveyard. We have ourselves a 5+2 play. It is the Blackrose Dragon. And since the Zombie Skull is face down, it cannot be protected by destruction, which means they get a full board wipe while we didn't even have to use their normal summon yet. Coral Dragon is going to get them an additional draw, but unless that additional draw is a Karibo, we win as we normal summon Misk and attack for game. Alright, we got ourselves a replay versus Alexis Rhodes, and I remember this not being necessarily against a super competitive or meta deck, but I mean, let's be real, this is mostly ladder cheese, so most of these replays really aren't anything fancy or competitive, but I wanted to show this one off particularly because this shows us how we can sometimes, if we get a little lucky, start off with a turn 1 Halberd play that requires only 1 card in hand to do so. We need some lucky mills to do that. So we got, we're going first rather in the situation versus Master of Rights 2 up top. We have ourselves our 1 card start, which is Discharge of the Light Brigade. We're going to activate that. We are going to be milling double Screw Serpent as well as a Misk, and we have our 1 card combo ready. As we go ahead, add Raiden from deck to the hand with the charge. We activate Miscellaneous effect from the graveyard, banishing it to special summon the Raptor from the deck. We're going to normal summon the Raiden. We're going to mill 2 more, mill another Screw Serpent as well as the Raptor. At that point, that's just accessory. We're going to use the Raptor as well as the Raiden to make ourselves the Star Guardian, which is going to allow us to activate the Star Guardian's effect when it is special summon, so we could special summon nothing just yet. Rather, add the Screw Serpent from the graveyard back to the hand. Activate Star Guardian's effect so we can special summon that Screw Serpent, so we can activate the Screw Serpent's effect to special summon the Raptor from the graveyard. Going into another level 5 Seeker, this is the Power Gladiator. Power Gladiator in an attack position, going to go into a level 10 Seeker now. We have the Blade Blaster. And now we're set up, almost, as we activate set Delta Accel to play the Recipro from the extra deck. I know I've been calling it Reciproco this whole time. Don't ask me, I don't know how to pronounce things. Activate Recipro's effect so we could send the Blade Blaster to the graveyard so we could resummon the Power Gladiator as well as the Star Guardian. And then we jump into the level 12 Synchro. We got Halvor Cannon, and we still have 3 cards in hand because we're just broken. Summoning the Halberd in defense position, setting 2 back row, and ending our turn. Imagine being able to make a turn 1 negate and with 4,000 attack and defense and still having 2 techs that you could set with a 3rd card in the hand for a follow-up. As they summon the Cyber Petite Angel, we immediately negate that because, of course, they're going to go ahead, activate Merciful Machine Angel Ritual, attributing the Izanda from the hand. We were actually a little nervous here to draw 2 cards. We were a little nervous here, thinking maybe we should have actually summoned Raptor in case they actually ended up pulling off the Kitty play. We would have, regardless, been able to get a float off of the Blade Blaster, but if they managed to make Dakini with the boost from the Editon, I believe, then we would have actually just been salty. But instead, they just attribute the Senju as well as return to the Cyber Petite Angel with the Machine Angel Absolute Ritual to summon Cyber Angel Benten, and that's not going to be enough, so they scoop it up.